Hey St. John's Riverkeeper community, Megan Riggs here with this week's Nature Skills Sharing. Bet you wonder why I'm wearing a personal flotation device, or a PFD. It's because we have author of A Journey of a River Walker, Ray Whaley, and his daughter Chloe, here to give us some kayak trip tips. Hope you enjoy.
Hello, my name is Ray Whaley. I'm a volunteer of the St. John's Riverkeeper, an avid kayaker, and also the author of the New York Times best-selling book, Journey of a River Walker. I'm just kidding, it's not really a bestseller, but maybe one day. And this is my esteemed colleague, another volunteer of the St. John's Riverkeeper, and my beautiful daughter, Chloe Whaley.
Hi, nice to meet y'all.
And this morning we're going to give you a very brief video on how to plan for a kayak trip.
Let's get started.
All right. So the first thing we want to talk about is before we even start the kayak trip, you got to be aware of a couple of things. First thing is make sure you know how to swim and that the people that are with you know how to swim. That is very critical, especially since you're going to be in the water. The second thing we'll talk about is weather planning. Make sure that the day that you decide to do your kayak trip, you don't have rain, storms, tornadoes,
tsunamis for that matter,
hurricanes, massive flooding, or wildfires. So just make sure that when you plan for your kayak trip that the weather is good for you. And the third thing we'll talk about is transportation, especially with the coronavirus. We do have restrictions with certain boat ramps. Some boat ramps might be closed, others might be open. Just make sure that where you decide to go, that you have a plan of dropping off your kayak and picking up your kayak with no problems at that point. So next thing we'll do is talk about the actual loading of your kayak for your trip. So the first thing we're going to talk about is naturally your kayak. Make sure that your kayaks are well maintained, that there's no holes.
Also, you want to make sure that they fit your size. As you can tell, I am a very small person. On the other hand, he is a very big person. So you want to have an accurate size of your kayak. Good
point. Next thing we're going to do is talk about your paddle. So as we can see, the paddles are also sized to the individual. The larger the person, the longer the paddle. Also, too, we want to make sure that the lightest paddle you can possibly get is the best, because if you think about the fact of fatigue, if you do a long kayak trip, that heavy paddle that you might buy somewhere that has the aluminum shaft might be a little heavy towards the end of the day. So we recommend getting a lighter paddle with a carbon shaft. It just makes life easier. In addition to that, in addition to the regular paddle, never a bad idea to carry a spare. Next thing you need before you go on a trip is your personal flotation device, also known as your PFD. These are not mandatory to have on you, but it's mandatory to have on the boat. And it is our suggestion that if you have any doubt of your swimming ability, that you wear this. And if you have children, it's a must.
Yeah.
So next thing we want to talk about is
your first aid kit. Again, very critical with the kayaking. If you come across any emergencies or in any situation that you or the people you are with are in danger, it's very important to have one of these. You never know, right?
That's right. Including your first aid kit, your antiseptics, your
Band-Aids.
Plenty of Band-Aids. Make sure you have any ointment in case you have any insect bites. Also include insect repellent and also sunscreen. And they come in nice little bottles and containers like this, or even like this. So next thing to do is talk about hats. So what we have here are camelbacks, and the reason why we like them is because not only can you put all kinds of gear inside, we also have nice little bladders for hydration. You can stick inside the backpack yourself. And if you're not paddling, you can take this off and put it on shore and go walk around with it.
This is great to store any personal items like keys, phones, wallets. My personal favorite, snacks. I love food. So this is a great way to just keep everything together. If you need to go off the water and use the bathroom, you might want to take this with you just in case.
Very good point. And since we're talking about water and hydration, it is very, very important, especially here in Florida, that you do carry plenty of water and drinks. We load up our bladders full of water. We also carry extra coolers with ice and also bottles of water. It keeps things nice and cold. We recommend also bringing any type of Gatorade, anything that has electrolytes, so that way if you're doing any type of long paddling, you'll be able to have some electrolytes to keep you going.
In Florida, it's a very long and hot day, especially on the water. So you always want to stay hydrated and you always want to stay pumped up so you can finish your amazing paddle and just, stay with it.
Exactly. So next thing we want to talk about are some other items that we recommended on our trips. We can share some information with you. Footwear. So lots of people like to go out and wear their flip-flops and sandals, or maybe no shoes at all when they go paddling. They enjoy that. As much as we enjoy it as well, we also recommend you get some really good water shoes. These are a neoprene with actually a harder rubber sole. These beat the ones that are really cheap you find at some of the big box stores.
Yep.
This you can buy at places like REI or Amazon. Just a little more durability, a little more protection, especially if you're having to walk on some of the shorelines. You might be out close to the beach area, or you might have oysters. You might have to worry about sticks, twigs, possibly broken glass. So if you have any type of protection on your feet, that's good for you.
And unfortunately, here in the state of Florida, there are many pieces of trash. There's a lot of litter. You don't want to accidentally step on something sharp that could potentially cut you. So you have to use your first aid kit. So we always recommend wearing something closed-toed, something that has protection, just in case.
Very good. Next thing we want to talk about is, again, you never know what you're going to find on the water. You might have the unfortunate experience of flipping your kayak over.
No.
It does happen to people. It's one of the things I probably should have mentioned in the beginning of this film, is that make sure you know how to recover from a overturned kayak. If you have to take classes, do so. If you got to learn online, do so. But it's very important, because just in case you do fall over, you do have the ability to recover. So two of the things that we do talk about, and once you do recover, is you do have a bilge pump. This actually goes inside the kayak, and as you put this inside your cockpit, you just pump and the water goes out. Next thing you want to keep with you is a bailing sponge, which is right here. Bailing sponge gets all the excess water out of the cockpit and just makes it nice and dry so you can continue paddling.
Again, with the food, it's always great to pack some lightweight snacks. I personally love Twizzlers and sunflower seeds. Usually for me, when it's a really hot day, I don't want to eat too much because you'll get sick or you'll get tired and you might not want to paddle. So just, keep your stomach filled with some lightweight snacks and stay hydrated.
Avoid things that melt in the sun like chocolate. Chocolate is messy and is not good. Just want to let people know. Other things you want to deal with on your kayak trip is navigation. So navigation obviously includes maps. You can have a map that could be one piece of paper, or you could have one of the full Atlas Gazetteer maps. But always keep something handy that keeps you aware of your location. We also recommend carrying some sort of compass. On the St. Johns River, as we all know, it pretty much goes from south to north, so as long as you're going with the flow, you know you're going north. But if you're going to any of the tributaries, it's always good to have a compass. I also recommend having a GPS. This is a Garmin GPS. It is a waterproof GPS, and it has helped me greatly throughout all of my journeys on the river. It does give you the ability to track your mileage, track your speed, and also allows you to upload your information online. That way you can share your information with others.
You can also put this on your kayak. You can get a GPS holder, which is great and efficient when you go kayaking.
So some of the other things we like to talk about that you should probably have with your kayak is dock line. We recommend two segments of dock line, one for the fore and one for the aft. That way, if you do come across an area where you need to take a break, whether it be a kayak ramp or a float, any type of dock, you have the ability to secure your kayak without it floating away on you.
This is also great if you want to be tugged along. Not too long ago, my great dad here recently tugged me because I was feeling a little bit tired on my kayak trip. So this is a great tool, especially for you children out there.
Other things that we recommend, especially those that might have back problems, a nice seat cushion for your seat. I have kayaked some pretty long trips, and at the end of the day, my back is really sore, and so having a seat cushion definitely helps with that. Another thing I'd like to talk about is that if you are one that likes to be active on your cell phone and also take a lot of pictures, your battery will die out during the course of the day, especially in the hot Florida sun. So we recommend carrying an extra charger for your battery. That way it extends the life of your phone, allows you to take more pictures, and in case of emergency, it allows you to make that important phone call.
You also want to carry some TP. Yes, again, when you are going to the bathroom, You know, you will come across some shady areas, you will come across some areas that have lots of insects in them, so you want to do your business and get out. You know, you don't want to be wiping with leaves. You know, always carry some extra teepee, which is going to make your kayak trip a whole lot easier.
Also a very important thing, especially in the Florida sun. This is a sunshine state, lots of sun. Carry eyewear. Eyewear will help you out as far as reducing the glare, reduce fatigue on your eyes, and make life a little bit better as you're doing your kayak trip. And again, I think we stressed before, and when you have the first aid kit, we stress. Can't tell you how important it is.
Sunblock.
Sunblock, sunblock, sunblock.
Yeah.
We like to wear hats. I personally wear a boonie hat myself. We also like to wear long sleeve fishing type shirts. But don't forget your shorts. You do have exposed skin with your legs, especially if you're on the sit on top kayak. So make sure you have plenty of sunblock, sunscreen, lather up really good, saves your skin. Another thing I'd like to talk about is if you are one that likes to look at nature and birds and not quite sure what kind of birds they are, we recommend getting these little guides here. You can find them at bookstores, you can find them at REI or Amazon. These specifically on the birds of Florida, especially if you're doing the St. Johns River. They even have specific regions like Central Florida.
Right.
So it's really cool when you get to go out and see the purple Gallinule or the Roseate Spoonbill, or even my favorite, the bald eagle.
Not only is kayaking a very fun activity to do, it can be also very educational, you know, so it's always good to have some books with you. Next thing we want to talk about is a headlamp and paddling gloves. So I will let you discuss the paddling gloves, and I will discuss the headlamp.
So some of us have hands that callus pretty easily, and if you're dealing with lots of kayaking during the course of the day, lots of long hours, your hands might start to blister a little bit. Have some fingerless kayaking gloves. It makes it really nice. It gives you the ability to paddle without any restrictions. The fact they're fingerless allows you to manipulate the keys to your GPS. Also allows you to use your phone without having to take your gloves off. And it does give you some degree of SPF protection as well. So it's an important piece of equipment, I think.
The headlamp is great just in case your kayak trip goes a little longer than you expected, and you know it's the evening time, it's getting late. You know, you always want to have this on you to watch out again for any insects if you're off the water. You know, this is great if you want to see some alligators at night. This is great to just, you know, kind of guide you along at night.
And also too, if you do happen to be a little late to your boat ramp, it gives you the ability to see at night. Nothing is more problematic than trying to load your kayak in the complete darkness. So something important to have. Next thing I want to talk about is a couple of fun things. Chloe can explain this very important piece of equipment.
Okay, so you may be thinking that what's so special about a pool noodle on a kayak trip? I can personally tell you from first-hand experience, this is great from whacking spiders. I unfortunately have a phobia of spiders, and I hate them if they're anywhere around me. One time, 2 of them got on my kayak, and I had to stand up beating a spider with the pool noodle. So this is great to knock off some insects off your boat. It's great to, you know, push through some vegetation. This is also great if you want to have a little fun with your friends and your family. You just want to give them a little splash of water. But always carry a pool noodle. Very critical to your kayak trip.
I don't condone the killing of insects. However, in emergency, for those that have phobias, it is a nice way of getting them off your boat. Also, too, the fact that that one squirts is a great piece of hydration. For those that are extremely hot and need to be cooled off, you can shoot somebody from a distance with that nice cool water. Other than that, I think we talked about everything you need for the kayak. Don't forget that if you do become a St. Johns Riverkeeper,
You should.
don't forget your very important patch that you should put on your kayak.
You will also get this lovely shirt that says whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting over. So you always want to become part of a special club that goes out and helps the earth.
And during the course of the day, if you just have nothing better to do, you're just floating and you're looking for just something to do, don't forget my book, Journey of a River Walker. Other than that, this is Ray and Chloe. We're signing off. I hope you have a great time on your kayak trip. And
have fun.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed Ray and Chloe's kayak trip tips. Be sure to check out his book, Journey of a River Walker, and we'll see you next time. Take care.